This is the EGC 20k Age of Empires 4 tournament. The quarterfinals are on. The last 8 generals are battling it out, and our commanders now take to the sea. Salutations to the lords and ladies of the realm. You are joining us for the second match in this best of 5 series. But who is fighting? You should already know, but it is simple tradition to announce them. On behalf of the French, ring in that big blue bell and idling a villager. Get back to work. It's Lucifron7 in the south. Crossing the bay to the far north, there is another French village. It's your red rival with a golden statue, TheViper, in command. I'm sure by now you have seen plenty of France versus France. This is the map for France. This is what everyone holds France out for. First, a quick recap. In the last battle, it was Viper with the legions of England versus Lucifron's Delhi Sultanate. It was a feudal age fury, with Viper heavily investing in that second age, many longbows and shields to put in front of those longbows. Lucifron had to meet them in battle and could not get out of the lockdown. As per tournament rules, you cannot play with a civilization you have previously won as, which means whoever wins here cannot play France. The scouts given a gentle high five. The red one slightly disappointed with the amount of sheep that they've found. But like I mentioned, this is the map for France. Let's take a quick look at the maps chosen for this series whilst we talk about why. The French Hulk is such a strong, powerful ship, the strongest to have ever floated the feudal age waters, which is why we see contestants holding out for Boulder Bay to play France on. But just because you pick France doesn't mean it's a free win on Boulder Bay, especially when the enemy picks France as well. Oh, no, nothing of the sort, at least not in week 3 of this game's release. From my analysis, there is still plenty of uncharted territories, that's what I'll call them. Both Viper and Lucifron will look to conquer the water first to gain access to all of that ocean beef, but there's also the neutral market and marketplaces which just don't really get utilized in this EGC tournament. But outside of the EGC, I have seen quite a few of these players actually creating trade routes to supplement their income going into the castle age. Viper knocking out some sheep so they can't return to Lucifron's village, right next to the dock too, so they can harvest the beef meat. The villagers arm themselves with their kitchen knives. Good form, Margaret. Aim for the head, Margaret. Just like zombies, their head is their weak spot. Margaret will run. You coward, get back there and fight. This leaves Lucas in a 1v1. Something similar happening on the other side of the waters too. The Viper about to uncover the starting position, the origin of Lucifron. It's just past the giant golden boulders. Both villagers start in areas that are quite rich in resources. You've got everything you need and more. This is why it's really popular to get a second, third, or if you truly are outrageous, a 4th town center and collect those resources all over the place. Losing the waters is troublesome, yes. It will mean you have the slower economy, but it doesn't mean you are out of the game. If the game were to go on for like 60 minutes, owning the waters will certainly just be victory. But there are timings involved. If you can find that sort of 10-15 minute mark where you lose the waters but you've set yourself up on land, then your opponent just has a lot of resources invested in the water, whilst victory conditions kind of dictate that you annihilate the base on land. These bases, these settlements are not settled on the ocean, they're on land. The Hulks are not gonna be able to go there. The Viper being normal, the School of Cavalry is their landmark choice. They'll be able to rally French knights fast with that decreased production time. We've got some walls going up for Lucifron, but more importantly, they're working towards the Chamber of Commerce. That increases the amount of resources you gain through trade. This will truly be amazing if Lucifron controls the Bay Area, because trading to the neutral dock here also grants wood as well as gold. I'm not hopeful, because we've seen almost no trading whatsoever during this tournament so far, and as an analyzer who sticks to patterns, the patterns just speak truth to me. It will be nice to see though, so I'm rooting for it. Once the feudal age arrives, we'll be seeing the docks working hard to outdo their opponents in mass Hulk production. And you know what I'd like to see? I wish the docks would show the boats being built. Watching the dock worker build the boats reminds me of the Settlers, which I think was my first entry into the world of RTS. What was your first RTS? Answers on a postcard, please. I would give you my address, but I've never left this building, so I wouldn't know where I live. Okay, here we go. Viper made it to Age 2 first. As Gladiator's referee would say, Viper, you will go on my first whistle. Lucifron 20 seconds behind. Will that be the thing that costs them the Oceanic Dominante? That's a Hulk heading straight for Lucifron's docks. And a lot of stakes that could be made out of destroyed ships. Will Lucifron end up fighting two Hulks for a brief moment against their own singular Hulk, which will then snowball the fight into Viper's favor? That could very well be the case, but we shall wait and see. Now, once the sailors yank the cranks on the boat and prepare to fire the first shots of war declaration, there's two Hulks. Why did I not think of that? Of course, there's multiple docks. Of course they can make more than one Hulk. So Lucifron might be in trouble here. You are watching the EGC Elite Gaming Channel first Age of Empires 4 tournament. They are working hard and investing a lot to bring you the very best tournaments. If you would like to get involved or discover more to watch, check out the video description or try the interwebs and Google them up. If that isn't enough for you and you are hungry for more, and hungry for war, poor horse, then check out the Ironcast stuff. If you'd like to get involved and support more content like this, best thing you can do is not to hit that subscribe button. It's not to send me grain to eat or biscuits to dip in tea. It's to pop in the Discord. That's discord.me/Ironcast. Pop in there and surrender. Because once we've got you, that's it. You might find yourself being the next person having me commentate your battles. Now, these ships are quite expensive, which is why I was a little surprised to see two right out of the dockyards for Viper. Viper also slightly hesitant to engage, and that's fairly reasonable. There's a lot at risk here. They don't necessarily know exactly what Lucifron has, or more likely, when that third ship might arrive. And fighting in enemy territory where the boats can be healed or garrisoned inside the docks, there's a lot to consider. Viper will shore up the shoreline. Third Hulk for Lucifron, fourth one for Viper. Any fishing ships that takes 4 Hulk ballista shots is going to be sleeping with the fishies. Additional sails have been attached to Viper's Hulks, an upgrade that increases ship movement speed by 15%. Let's tango! Let's spin to win! Because Hulks have ballistas on both sides, so to double your damage, you gotta make these crazy spins. A moderate scuffle, no ship sunk. Lucifron can heal up near the docks. So we got 3 dockyards here. That's one more than Viper has. Viper's hulks heading back to seek repairs. They've made a statement. They are the aggressors, and typically the aggressor keeps on aggressing. Lots of wood and gold being harvested. Every ounce of productive effort is being sent to claim the sea, keeping the war machine going. Lucifron is staying defensive. They could be hoping for a favorable engagement on their terms, on their side of the map, with access to their docks for healing and faster reinforcements that could perhaps turn the tide of a sea battle. So, should they win that, they could then sail over and attack. Not much interest in butchering the beepy sheeps. Food is stockpiling since boats don't cost food. That'll be a nice boost into the castle age, most likely once a victor of the ocean has been decided. Now, Lucifron and Viper are sailing out. There's these foggy areas which could give one commander the initiative. That would be significant. Although one of Viper's ships trailing behind into Lucifron's navy, Lucifron doesn't get many shots off, which advantage now goes to Viper. Viper knows where Lucifron's navy is. Lucifron now just finding out that they're right behind them, cutting them off from retreating directly. Lucifron wants to bail out, even though it's 7 ships to 6. There's some foggy areas. Lucifron's going to utilize it. More importantly, Viper's hulks are slightly split, which gives Lucifron a more focused naval power. Remember, a ship that has only 1 health remaining still does full damage, so it's important to complete the kills, and when one ship sails out in front of the others and takes all of the shots, that damage is lost. And that's what's happened to the Viper here. Blue reinforcing hulk, I think, seals this. Lucifron with 4 vessels remaining. The Viper with 2. It's the fishing boats which become the next target. And the Viper takes their remaining ships, what they have left, and smartly looks to inflict similar damage right back at you. It could make Lucifron recall their navy, buying time to level the playing field again. Lucifron has 2 ships nearby. They won't cower too much. They'll somewhat hold the fishing line. And they're doing not half a bad job. The Blue Navy is recalled. The Viper almost surrounded. They have to sail along the coastline, but they will eventually get cut off by the main naval force. The ships are on fire. The Viper's sailors are putting up a good fight. 2 versus 5. Mod makers, if you're out there, in the future, ship turn rate, ship acceleration, ship deceleration. Lucifron can move on. The first naval battle that they won made them happy. The second battle surely leaves them elated. But what happens now? This is a major glitch and also a major pivotal point. I don't think Viper will continue investing in trying to compete on the water. The build time on Hawks is 45 seconds. With 2 docks, the Viper will need 4 or 5 minutes to build a navy to match what's here now. And that's discounting if Lucifron continues to get more hulks. And this is what I expect to see. Town centers. This one in the heart of the forest. Now, is more wood what they want? Thinking of the battle on land now. We have a demolition ship here. What's it going to find? Is it a load of fishing boats? No! The second demolition ship? Oh my word! And one of the fishing boats. Never mind. If they could just find that big grouping of fishing boats, but I'm sure Lucifron is alerted, and yep, absolutely, they'll get their boats out of there. Oh, that was tense. Okay, so the Viper didn't quite give up on the sea, but their docks are gone, so they are forced to now. Usually, and what I wanted to come to was that France goes heavy on the knights. With that town center in the heart of the forest, seems to suggest that wood is on their mind, but yeah, maybe there's a different reason for choosing to put the town center there specifically. The hulks will scour the coasts. It's good to put the hulks to some use because right now they don't serve any function. They eat a lot of the population cap. Each hulk is 4 population, so should the fight take us into the 200 population cap where both players are maxing out how many units they can bring on the field, then 5 hulks in the sea is 20 units off of the land. That would be a significant handicap on land, a landicap if you wish. We have another town center being put next to the gold for the Viper. So these hulks still certainly useful along the coast, sniping any units that pass by and granting vision. It's quite easy to avoid the range. Don't stand near the beach and you'll be absolutely fine. This also works as a safe haven too. If you need to retreat units, then retreat them to your boats on the coast who will lay down covering fire and dissuade the enemy from approaching. I think this is a bit too advanced though of a strategy or a tactic for our commanders so far. It sounds easy. I'm not being condescending about it, but trying to work that in with everything that's going on and maintaining a good economy 3 weeks into the release of the game. I mean, how many of you watch these games or streams and have great, fantastic ideas you want to implement, and then when you go and try to do it, you've got idle villagers and you're minutes behind where you feel you should be on aging up, and you're struggling against the opponent who is likely doing exactly the same thing. They had amazing ideas too. It takes a lot of time and practice to be able to implement basic strategies to a point where they blend with the basic skills. Anyway, Lucifron has control of the water. They have the Chamber of Commerce. When are we gonna see some trade ships? I wonder. This neutral dock is just delicious, and yet not used at all. Well, Lucifron's got stables and barracks. Viper's got barracks and stables and a school of cavalry. The land war should be commencing shortly. Another great idea. We've got 2 sacred sites. This one here now guarded by 2 hulks, and the other one is virtually inaccessible over at the neutral trading dock. So there's a victory condition here that could be attained that makes use of having ships. We do have the Viper trading to the land neutral market. So having those ships guard the sacred site forces the Viper to have to deal with the ships in some way, which would only be possible with decent siege machines, which is a costly venture. A royal knight rides on into the Viper settlement and peruses all of the things that the Viper's villagers get to enjoy in their day-to-day lives, such as farming and hitting rocks. Surprising that Lucifron can ride straight in. There are no walls in the kingdom of Viper. People may come and go as they please. Lucifron wants to acquire as much up-to-date information as they can muster. They know there's spearmen to deal with, and the locations of the landmarks also revealed. By the way, I forgot to mention, Viper went to the Castle Age, I think just at the end of the naval combat phase. Pretty aptly timed since they lost that. Lucifron didn't get Castle Age until about 4 minutes later. Will a head start in the Castle Age prove beneficial in these trying times where a couple of knights raid the lands? Operation Harass the Enemy for the next stage of the assault. The rather disappointingly made assault force. It's so small and cute, but yes, a battering ram. That's how we turn this into something to fear. And oh, here's something I just thought. The Hulks along the coast, they don't just give vision, but in a way they kind of deny it. Look at this. The Viper doesn't want to go here. Nobody would want to go and be shot by a shipload of ballista, which means they have no idea what's moving through this vicinity. Advantage to Lucifron. We have all kinds of buildings just sprawling out to the central western side of the map. Archery ranges along the coast being fired upon by a castle atop their cliff. But action will be occurring next to Viper's town center. The villagers stop their food gathering to take care of the battering ram. Then back inside the town center to fire on all of the Royal Knights. The spearmen are moving in to throw their torches too. Some of the villagers getting out. I have no idea what they envisioned as their dreams. Some of them will escape, fleeing to other territories. Crazy amount of building going on as we suddenly rocket into the action. The Viper makes the call to arms and a call to the Imperial Age. There's a red palace under construction, an ultimate defensive landmark. Units garrisoned inside will fire crossbows. Pretty cool. But that means no College of Artillery. Both sound like great choices, though, but for different reasons. A battering ram is smashing down the hatches on the town center with the villagers inside. Viper has this under control, but do they have this under control? Lucifron is instilling chaos and fear. No farmers here. They've had to steer clear of the severe cavaliers. Lots of rock mining in the rear. But what happens when the cavalry appears to interfere? Oh dear. They don't attack. That's sincere. The miners pull away. Back over at the recruitment camps, though, we're about to hit that age of the buildings. Just got a lot more fancy. Viper's got so much villager movement. They are all over the place because Lucifron is dispersing them like some kind of out-of-control renegade police force. Viper has a monastery and a relic, which is being ignored by Lucifron. And over here is town center, red palace, and castle surrounding a gold mine. This is a good place for villagers to go on holiday to. Lots of protection. Also, a nice outpost against the cliff edge. I do approve. Getting units inside that red palace is going to be important to truly make use of its perk. All of the leftover hawks appear to be here now. The position of the red palace means that units along the coast are just in range. A ship is even sunk. Lucifron has made their intentions clear. They want to push through this area. They don't want to fight here. They could get transport ships. Looks like a summoning ritual of battering rams, and it's kind of strange this. Almost 25 minutes in, and this particular attack, just 3 Royal Knights and a lone battering ram, doesn't scream success or yell diversionary tactics. Just looks desperate. There are a few ranged units that could do some villager damage. Okay, now that looks like a distraction. A battering ram. But a distraction from what? 2 Royal Knights into the retirement home of gold miners, whereas these cannons, oh, they are worth it, even if they do forget their range, a bit close to the ships. But that's okay. The archery ranges here were destroyed. Cannons will do that. Viper is putting up a fantastic defense. And you know what? It's almost kind of a good thing that the Hulks are getting destroyed, freeing up that population cap for Lucifron. Maybe that's why they're chucking them into the path of the cannons. We haven't seen a maxed out army yet, though, so hopefully that's still to come. The Royal Knights doing a decent job. The Royal Knights of Vipers engage the ranged, small, tiny grouping of Lucifrons, and their infantry support is like, no, you've got this one, Royal Knight man. Don't want us to interfere in your somewhat mano a mano. This fight bores me. Speaking of bore, what? But why? I will never truly understand the mind of that great Royal Knight. Very difficult. It's almost as difficult as saying the word difficult. Very difficult to control the actions, especially going into like 20 plus minutes in the game where things get very hectic. We've just got cannons out here alone. You can see Viper is feeling that 20 plus minute pressure. Cannons roaming the wilderness, Royal Knights with no health attacking boars. It's all gone flips up. Nonetheless, though, they do rightfully, those spearmen scream, victoire! And they've grabbed themselves a sacred site as a reward. Oh, I love the cannon on the cliff, firing down at the boats, being blessed by the priest. Now we've got the priest overlooking the cliff, pondering what the world has come to. If only everyone believed in God, none of this would have happened. Why, French God, why? Over in the Lucifron's habitat, which should be prospering. Now, I do question how far these boats have to travel for fishing. It might be faster to actually just farm what you need than to travel out there. But on the other hand, the Viper's army is not going to walk out into the middle of the ocean and harass the fishing boats, so it's kind of safe. Still, no trade. Chamber of Commerce, no trade. I am made of anger. I am slightly sated at the sight beholds to me. France has a perk where building stables and archery ranges around a keep entitles them to bonuses. This influence bonus, as it is called, means that the units produced from those buildings are 20% cheaper and 20% cooler. It's almost a shame that the Viper is going to go ahead and destroy all of it, whilst Lucifron maintains the raiding. They are committed to this harassment. It's all a ruse to take some of Viper's attention away from whatever duties they deem important. And I feel, though, that Lucifron has more pressing matters. Matters of concern could include, I don't know, the Viper is at your borders with cannons? This seems more like an adequate response. The Viper gets an absolutely perfect shield line in place, mixed with spears and hand cannons to toot. Lucifron abandons the attack, sending units just reaving past. The instructions we can read so clearly: don't come back unless you are victorious. So those units simply won't come back. The castle of Lucifron is burning down. The cannons are just hard cast iron launching monsters. This is quite the loss for Lucifron. This was an economic, military, industrial coupon complex of discounts, and it was underprotected. The Viper has taken the slow and steady wins the race approach. They've paced themselves well since the day the sea shanties was sung about their defeat. Royal Knights meeting a hard line of infantry with a back line of hand cannoneers. They will rip those knights to shreds. And the cannons are a nice touch too. Anyone hit by those cannons will be unrecognizable. A new keep is being constructed just behind the palisade wall. Long may that castle prosper, but with 2 cannons just outside, it seems unlikely the palisade wall is demolished to make way for a whole new array of production buildings. Can Lucifron really defend this? I mean, they're in the midst of an attack. The cannons are just a few meters away from firing on the new castle, and they begin. Even if Lucifron brings more crossbow units, more knights, both of those things are not going to cut through to the cannons by the looks of it. Viper has the counters. I just heard a penny drop. It's a weird sound effect. I don't think it's meant to be there. It's kind of out of place. If you missed it and you're on YouTube, press the arrow key left to go back 5 seconds. You'll hear it. Cannot miss it. Lucifron has a cannon of their own, and it gallantly charges into combat and survives a whopping no seconds. Oh, that's it. The white flag is raised. Southern France has been defeated. Victory goes to the Viper. This is their 2nd win. They need 1 more to go through to the semi-finals, and that would be the perfect set. Join me, Anuki, for the next match, or I'll call security. I'm sure you'll make the right choice. See you soon.